Hello, Internet, and welcome once again to the Always Online podcast, multiplayer gaming at its finest here on MMOBomb.com. As always, I'm Mike Byrne, your host. We're doing the show live, twitch.tv/MMOBomb. So those of you who are in chat, you can make a note. We do the show live. Every Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern, followed up with a stream afterwards. In case you missed the memo, we've had about a month now of not covering exclusively free-to-play. Jason and I finally convinced the owner to allow us to cover everything multiplayer. So we're going to be talking, obviously, New World today and everything. If you like what you see here and you're on YouTube, give us a subscribe and go ahead and tell your friends, right? I mean, we did 400 episodes of free-to-play cast before we changed the name, but that crushed our SEO value. So tell your friends, get them to go check out the YouTube video so we keep doing a show that you like. Yeah, a little game launch today. I guess we'll talk about that with Mr. Jason Winter. What's up?
You know, I'm seeing a lot of people in chat. I guess all the money we're paying Twitch to boost our stream is working.
Oh, God. What a dumb concept. We do have chat live here. I'm sure they'll be chiming in with their New World opinions.
Did you hear that? We have live chat here. Anybody who doesn't know that we do this live every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, twitch.tv/MMOBomb. MMOBomb.
Just making sure.
Always
if
online.
You've been commenting on YouTube for years and you still don't know. We do this live.
And you can
now
hear
he's going to leave, so we're making too much fun of him.
You can hear the voice of our other illustrious co-host today, Mr. Troy Blackburn, the noob fridge himself. What's up?
Today is Crocs no socks, so we're back to being classy again.
Yeah. I don't know if classy is the word I'd use, but I mean, at least you aren't rocking the dad sandals / black. When you do wear Crocs with socks, are they black dress socks? Like no athletic socks. They got to be black dress socks.
No, they're just black, like ankle socks.
Oh my God, they're ankle socks.
Oh, that's even
too.
worse.
Yeah. Do you wear shorts or do you at least have jeans on?
Shorts, man. I wear shorts until it's like negative 12 degrees.
You're awful. You are literally the worst person in the world. Literally.
I thought I was the Minnesotan around here.
You're literally the worst person in the world. Let's slide over, get the news bump, and get started. Well, gentlemen, I don't know if you heard, but Amazon Games finally published a game and didn't immediately retract it back into a beta. And that is, of course, the MMORPG New World. Troy, yeah, we kind of like have we might. I actually don't know Jason's opinions on this yet. We haven't talked.
Oh, we have a wild card here.
We do have a wild card today, gents. So we're going to kind of review week one, the good, the bad, the ugly across the board on our initial thoughts. We're just getting ready to hit the weekend here, so this will be the first time we'll see weekend queues over the next 48 hours here, which I'm sure we might mention queues when talking about New World today. But also some of the stuff we love in-game, some of the things we don't like, where we think the game is headed, stuff like that. Now, I know, Troy, you've just been gung-ho New World since who knows when. I pre-ordered it, a year and a half, 2 years ago, took place in alphas and betas and stuff along the way as part of press. So a lot of experience, but I was a bit more tempered than you on my love for it. I've always kind of been, I'm not quite sure yet, because there is an element of New World that, generally speaking, doesn't appeal all that much to me. And a good portion of the game's current end game focuses on that type of gameplay. So we'll see what my final takes in it for week one are. And then Jason wasn't even going to buy it. I wanted all three hosts to be able to speak about it today. I knew Q had no interest in this, in this game. So I shipped Jason a copy, sent him a message, said, hey, New World is gifted in your Steam library so you can speak intelligently about it on the show. And Jason's response was, since when do I speak intelligently about anything on the show? I said, fair point, but go ahead and play it a little bit. So, Troy, you're working on the first look. You might have to recapture some footage that actually has sound.
Yeah, we've got a potential war tonight, or we have a war tonight anyway that I may be able to get into. So there was going to be footage tonight anyway. So I guess I'm going to redo some because Daddy forgot to unmute the game sounds when I was recording last night.
Professionals, ladies and gentlemen.
Mhm.
It's not like we haven't done this for a decade or more, some of us at this point.
Look, every time I do a recording, I have to do like a little test, just like you do at the start of the
Yeah.
show. I have to do a test of the game sound, my voice. Like, is it good now, or is OBS somehow going to screw it up?
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. What is going on with my camera? Is it my camera low
You seem
frame
good.
rating?
Yeah, a
Somebody
little
in
bit.
chat says it's low frame rating.
Yeah, whatever. You're still
Whatever.
moving. You're not a slideshow.
It's Friday, that's why. Maybe. If it's low frame rating or causing lip sync, I apologize. Turn us on audio. By the way, speaking of that, you can follow this podcast on iTunes and Spotify so that you could take us on the go. All right, Troy, I'm going to start with you since you've been the happiest about New World. You've now gotten to play it, the final version. You have 30, 40 hours plus of time in it just in the 3 or 4 days. Initial impressions, kind of a high-level overview look.
So far, it's not going to be for your traditional WoW player if that's all you play and that's all the type of game that you want to play. If you want to experience something a little different, then this is going to be a little bit of a different offering. Great exploration game. I love the gathering and the crafting in the game. It's really heavily based around that. You don't necessarily have to dedicate yourself hardcore to those things, but if you don't, you're going to miss a lot. And really fun optional PvP, which has gotten someone like me who I PvP in PvP games, not in MMOs traditionally. I really enjoy being able to take part in big group world PvP events.
So then let's go to the wild card, Mr. Jason Winter. You've got some hours in there, some leveling in there. Before we get into anything specific content-wise or queue-wise, what do you got? What are your initial thoughts?
So the funny thing about this was I realized this is like the first like big MMO, like big deal MMO that I didn't like look into at all beforehand. Like I had looked at a couple of blog pieces here and there, but as I was like downloading it, I was like, I don't even know what class I'm going to play. What are the classes again? How does this work? How does anything in this game work? So I looked at just a tiny bit on the website, just like found out, okay, how does progression work? Okay, I got weapons, they'll level up. Okay, and crafting. Okay, great. So I'm going in with virtually no knowledge of this game, of how it works, how the more intricate systems work.
Right.
But the first, I'm like a level 11 now, level 11 or 12. And my first thought is, it's nice. It's not bad. I think it works all right. I think I like how the game plays and so forth. When I get in and I see some of this other stuff, like what is this World War thing, and the area reputation leveling stuff, I'm like, wow, that's neat. How does it work in the long term? Gonna have to reserve judgment on that sort of thing. But overall, I'm generally liking it. I went in with a thought of, man, this is gonna be a grind. I'm gonna hate wanting to do it. Mike wants me to play it. God damn it, screw him. He's that guy and whatever. But after like 6 hours in, I'm like, okay, this is all right. I want to log in again tomorrow night and keep going and see where it takes me, because I honestly don't know where it's going to take me. I don't know what the higher, even what the mid-level kind of stuff is going to be like. So, but I've got a generally positive impression so far.
Well, I mean, if you want to log in tomorrow night, you're going to want to log in like in the next 45 minutes or so. Wow, my camera is
I'm
really
I'm on one of the low pop servers.
frame rating out today. I don't know what's going on with it. And it's one of those things that's a little hard to fix on the fly. Can
we talk about the inventory system?
We will, because I know you're
okay.
going to want to talk about that. It was one of the things you immediately tweeted out about right off the bat here. I got to say, so I reserved judgment from some of the betas and things like that simply because I was getting a little burnt out, right? I had done multiple alpha tests, multiple beta tests. I played it when it was literally just a survival game. That's all it was. It was here. You're on an island. Go do whatever. All the way through its iterations, and I kind of got sick of like the first 6-7 hours because I kept doing them over and over and over again. Now that we're in live, I gotta say I'm enjoying the game more than I thought I would. I'm still not as gung-ho, Troy, as you about it, but I kind of knew that I wouldn't be going into it because if you look at the game, and this is intelligent design, like I can understand why they went this way. There is an appeal to a big portion of your end game being user-generated rather than developer-generated, right? Something just bleeped in my ear, and I have no idea what it is. And
Bleep.
a bleep. And a large portion of the end game content is exactly that, right? With your factions and PvPing and taking over territories and things like that. That is user-generated content that keeps a game alive faster and longer than having to wait for developers to drop huge sections of new PvE content like in World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy or a more theme park MMO like that. Not to say that New World doesn't have elements of theme park. It certainly does. There are certain things you can do at endgame, and they're going to have to add more. But knowing that that was a big portion of the endgame for me, I always kind of was like, I will probably like this, but I don't actually know how long I'd stick with it because that generally isn't my style of gameplay. Turns out it might be. Turns out it might be. I'm not sold on it yet, but there are things that the game does very, very well for me that I am impressed by and that I enjoy. Can I just say, first off, I'm amazed at what the Lumberyard engine is doing right now. Because that engine has really just shit the bed in everything else Amazon has tried to do, right?
Going into this, that was one of the biggest fears.
Yeah.
Is this, did they screw themselves from day one with their own engine? Is that part of their significant problem with all these other games that aren't working out the way they want them to? Hey, when there's only 2,000 people on a server at a time, it works really well.
Yeah, and we're seeing chat talk a little bit about, hey, it's RuneScape, right? It's RuneScape. Well, yes, I agree in certain elements, but I kind of feel like playing through, they've kind of cherry-picked items from all kinds of different games and said, you know what, people really like this, so let's try and do an element of that. People really like this and try to do an element of that. I will say that I'm enjoying gathering and crafting in this game more than I have in any other game, including my favorite game, right? Final Fantasy 14, in which I have one max level crafter and one max level gatherer, and that's more to be able to do the dailies for crafting and gathering beast tribes so that I can get the minions, not because I enjoy the crafting. I also understand and recognize, Jason, that it isn't anything new. I'm just running up to the tree and clicking a button and watching an animation. But it does have a little bit of immersion flair when you see yourself cutting the tree down, for example, stuff like that. Those are the small touches that I do appreciate in the game.
And for me, too, when I was playing last night, I said it's not like a lot of games where it's like, oh, here's on my mini-map, here's this one tree I can chop down or whatever.
Yeah.
I look out in the forest, and the whole trees, I could chop every one of them down if I felt like it. Neat.
I also like the aspect of there are parts of the world, Troy, I'm afraid of. Like that has been something missing in MMOs for a long time. Don't confuse this, right? If you're level 30 and the next zone is level 40, it's dangerous for you to go in there, right? We see that type. I'm talking about you might just be walking through a level appropriate zone and accidentally stray too close to a cluster of things that happen to be 3 times your level. Whether it's by a tower, a landmark type thing on the map, which we'll get into later, those types of things. There is danger. This is also a game where, you know what? You might think you can go ahead and kill 3 wolves at once.
Yeah.
But you probably can't. But you probably can.
Okay, good. That's not just my build, so I'm not the only one experiencing that. Good.
No, sir. If you start getting surrounded by 3 or 4 things, their attack patterns are so different, and the way that grit and knockback and sort of interfering with some of your abilities works, you could be in some very serious trouble if you don't have at least a little bit of CC to sort of reset them and get some of your attacks in. It could get very ugly very fast. And as Mike was saying, or you could do what I did and run face first into a cave, and I came this close to something that was like 3 stories tall with a big spiky helmet that just obliterated me. I was like, oops, I shouldn't be here.
They have managed to create danger. The world does feel good to play in, Jason, even though you do quite a bit of walking. Quite a bit of walking.
Yeah. There's a lot of running, a lot of setting my camp and hoping I don't die before I can set it down and have a good place to respawn to.
Yeah, I mean, we got the whole no mounts thing, and there's a goofy ass lore reason for no
Yeah, I
mounts,
saw
which
that.
we'll just skip. That doesn't make any sense.
Just as I said last night, mounts in New World are like women in Assassin's Creed. They're too hard to animate.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
It kind of makes sense, though, again, going back to what the larger scale point of the game is, Troy. The open world PvP, the warfare between factions for these. Like you want people. It's also like why you see small touches like rare materials being found gathering wise in starting zones. So there is always an incentive for higher level players to be funneling through these, original zones that they don't become absolutely dead like you see in some other games. There's just lots of small, very smart touches to the game. And yeah, lack of mounts may suck. Well, Discord's deciding to reconnect.
I'm back.
No, it was just Discord just blipped. We're good.
Okay.
Yep, okay.
But it moved Troy's camera. God damn it. And yeah, it totally just moved Troy. Troy, turn your camera off and on real quick.
Have you tried turning it off and on again?
Yeah, have you tried turning it off and on? And then turn it back on. Nope, it still put you there.
Should I turn mine off and on?
Yeah, wonderful. Sure, why not? Let's do it. Turn it off and turn it on again.
Everybody.
Jason's in my spot.
No, you're where you're supposed to be. All right, we'll go ahead and get Troy real quick. Fix my cam now. It's not something I'm going to be able to fix on the fly. I didn't even realize it was doing something. Boop. Hey, welcome back, Troy. We'll fix
me. I would look like I was Jason for a second.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah.
We'll fix you.
I felt the sudden need to hate everything.
We'll fix you in other shots in a moment.
Everything besides bless.
Yeah, everything besides bless. So it does a lot of things right. Yeah. And I can't wait to do dungeons and things like that. We're right on the cusp of the first one. You actually already did the first one, Troy, so give us a little bit of a flavor of what, if you're a PvE player, you can expect dungeon-wise, because these are relatively new to New World. They weren't exactly planned to even be a thing in New World until pretty recently.
Yeah, done the first one a few times in beta. I've done it once live now. It was nice to actually be able to beat the final boss. In beta, it was busted and the final boss would bug out and it would reset, but you couldn't get back in combat with it. So I've really enjoyed tanking these. It's a little bit of chaos because it's not exactly like you would think with World of Warcraft, where I drop just one AoE taunt and then everything just stays on me for the rest of the fight. I've really got to be picking and choosing what I'm tanking, using CC, making sure the healers aren't getting focused, and make sure the DPS are staying, try to keep the mobs as best I can in one general area, so DPS doesn't take them across the whole freaking map, chasing them or running from them, so the healer can't get to them anymore because there's a lot of AoE based heals. So it's been a lot of fun, a little bit of chaos with folks still learning what their class does, what their role does in a group like that for the first dungeon. But there's mechanics, there's roles, there's teamwork definitely necessary in order to complete those. I've enjoyed them so far, and they are challenging. They're not like the first one's not like the most hardcore thing ever, but there are some challenging moments to it.
Chat Tarkoth asking when are dungeons around level 20 is when you'll get your first one, provided you've been also doing your faction rep up stuff along the way too, because that does play into the quest line. So make sure you're kind of doing both of those at the same time to get there. Jason, how's been your experience with the game as a whole from a technical standpoint? And I guess we'll get into queues here too, but how the game runs, rubber banding, lagging, comparing it to, say, other MMO launches of the past.
Noticing a little screen tearing when I move my camera around, but that's really about the only technical gripe I have, apart from queues, which affects everybody. So, I mean, in terms of how it's been running, it's been fine. It looks nice. I don't know if this is a spot for it, but I do have issues with the sound design. Some of the combat sounds are just weak. Especially when I got my first weapon, I got the first sword, and I just hit something, it just makes this little hollow whack sound. I'm just like, ugh. It just sounded like nothing. But I will say, when you're out in the wild, and you hear someone like chopping a tree or whacking a rock from a ways away, it creates a really nice echoing sound. It sounds like you're actually in a forest somewhere.
Jace in chat just said mining boulders sounds like a gunshot.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's like if they could take some of the sound of the environment and the mining and move that into the combat sounds, it'd be great. Maybe like find a middle ground between the two. But in terms of like technical, in terms of errors or whatever, I haven't had any issues.
Yeah, K-Max saying, I mean, NPCs don't tank my FPS, but real players do. In town is the worst. I haven't had any of that actually on my side, Troy. Have you?
Not in town, really. Not really at all that I've noticed, except in like big wars when I get into great big PvP groups. Even in town, I've had pretty stable frame rates and everything seems to be okay. But when like the Wednesday night, we got into big PvP groups and really went after the Covenant hard. And when I got into like big fights where there's a bunch of us and a bunch of them, I started seeing frame rate drops for the first time, but that was, in all honesty, to be expected at that point. There were a lot of people within a very small area right there.
Yeah, I had some minor rubber banding on Wednesday for 15 seconds while running in a straight line, and it just kept doing this like clip animation where it would rubber band back just slightly. Did it like 6 or 7 times, and that was it. On the technical side of this, I don't. We just talked about this over on Ginger Prime's channel on that podcast that I was on today, where he says like this is historic as far as MMO launches go, and he made his case why. And I said, look, I disagree with you, but it's hard to disagree with you because it's not like you can point at, Jason, a specific game in the past and say this MMO did it better. This MMO had a better, more stable launch. There really isn't. The server does what it's supposed to. It does it relatively well. It does it smoothly. It does it smoothly for a lot of people. But I don't think you can say that, hey, once you get in-game, the performance is great, and so let's just forgive the queues. Yes, we know that the new sexy is going to have queues. Whatever game that is, MMORPG, any multiplayer game like this is going to have queues if it's even relatively being tracked by many people. Here we're talking about 6, 7, 800,000 people. They're now saying late last night over 1 million. And the queues, yeah, we don't have 30, 40, 100, 200 people queues. Servers like the one the three of us are on trend for me during peak-ish hours, anywhere between 400 and 900-ish people. And sometimes that's an hour to get through, and sometimes it's 3 to 4 hours to get through. Other servers plagued by maybe, huge streaming personalities or large guilds that had things planned to go before the game even launched, and they jumped in and got things started. Seeing 10s and 20s and 30s. Ironically, the queues for me have been less stable than the game. And if you do if you do a Twitter search for like hashtag New World, or you go on the Reddit, I'm not alone in this. It's pretty common that some people are having like a disconnection error when they didn't disconnect on their side. Some people are getting a blip in the queue and immediately getting sent back to the bottom of the line. Or they get to the front of the queue and it fails to load and kicks them back. There doesn't seem to be any like timer on disconnection issues in the queue to keep you in your spot. That's horribly aggravating. And we're not talking about coming home from work, booting it up, going and eating, and 30 minutes later coming in and getting in your new sexy game that you, by the way, you've already paid for to get into. We're talking about hours upon hours upon hours. And the answer so far has been, let's just spin up new servers. And they announced late last night, in addition to the 1 million count, that they have spun up over double the servers they started with. That's a little scary to me. They have a low cap on the servers of 2,000 people right now, and they do intend to increase that over time to 10,000. And I totally understand you don't just open the doors and let, 4,000 more people in. You could, But that's not the way to do it, right? That influences monster spawn rates, and there's other factors that you've got to take into consideration if you're going to let more people in. But I don't think it's necessarily the best way to go, Jason, if your default first response is, let's just spin up double the number of servers. In most games, that probably wouldn't matter, right? Hey, Jason, go roll on a different server, play, and next week we're going to give you a free character transfer, which is their plan, and then you join me on my server. Final Fantasy XIV, that's not a big deal. Go make your progress, bring it over. This game's a little different in the core components of the game being building with your guild, building with your faction, building for territory control. It's a bit different to just go roll on one server and then basically, yeah, your character progression is maintained when you go to your new server, but everything else is reset. Any type of stuff you've been doing with a guild, you're going to be in a new guild, unless your entire guild is transferring, in which case you're all starting over. Territory control becomes an issue. Server mergers, which are inevitable, they're a part of this industry, are going to have to happen at some point. They've already planned for it with their little clusters of servers that you can mouse over and already see if we merge servers, you'll be merged with other servers in this same cluster. I just think it's a bit risky to spin up the way. It's impressive, no doubt, but a bit risky to take this as the number one approach.
Now, how does all that, faction control stuff work in the long term? Because to me, it looks like a thing where, yeah, you'll control this area for a while, but then, in 3 days, so the other faction might come along and take it over or whatever, and then 4 days later, someone else will get it. So if that's the case, if it does progress at that kind of rate, then it shouldn't matter that much, right? If you get stuck onto a new server where, okay, someone else has control of this area now, but in a day or two, you guys might be able to take it over. So
Troy, I'm going to let you reply to that, Troy, because if that were the case, Jason, which, that's the way the game presents, then you would not be, or you would be able to tell that there are marauders on our server, and you cannot.
Okay, well, I get that. If one server is badly populated for its factions, then yeah, sure.
Yeah, green has been non-existent on our server, and I mean, up until Wednesday night and yesterday morning, not only have they never owned a single territory, and the syndicate that I'm a part of owns 4 now, and the Covenant, which has a larger streamer leading them, owns 6 now. The Marauders have owned 0 at any point in the history of our server. As of Wednesday night, we had a big war between us and the Covenant. The Marauders organized well enough to infiltrate Everfall and cause the first war on our server. So the first war on our server is involving the faction that is has been a non-factor. Not even are they non-existent, they've been a non-factor up until this point.
Also, the new servers, I just got to say, I think they actually don't target for assistance the current audience, in my estimation, right? The people that are having the longest queues are the people that started on Tuesday and early Wednesday, like, Troy and myself and many other guilds and things like that. We don't want a server transfer. That's kind of the last thing we want to do if we can avoid doing it, because it doesn't just involve us going. It involves organizing as a guild and going and deciding to do this. While it does help, Jason, you got the game, but you didn't play it until, yesterday, I think it was the first time? Or
yeah, Wednesday
night or something like that.
Wednesday, you're right.
Yeah, Jason, rolled on our server just because we were there, but
I didn't roll on your server. No, I tried. I was like, screw that queue. I'm somewhere else.
But had no guild affiliation. It was just like, okay, Mike's on this server, Troy's on this server, some MMOBomb followers are on this server. Oh, it didn't work. Then perfect. The new servers help in that situation, the new people jumping in. But the servers that have 30, 40,000 queues, yeah, you might get some individual one-off players or some smaller guilds here that are willing to say, hey, you know what, let's go ahead and move. But that doesn't really address the queue problem for these big, big servers, I don't think. It helps the new audience, not the ones that are already established and having the most problem with these queues anyway.
I just want to note that Mad Martha just joined the chat, so he was the one who's late.
A fan just walked in too. Good
A fan
afternoon.
too. Oh God! Yeah.
I was
There we
right.
go. We predicted him.
I was
Yep,
right.
okay.
I was right. Yay.
Jibro, the last time I looked at the war board for Everfall, it was about 40% of the attackers were Syndicate. The only about 60% were Marauders.
Did I mention that I joined Marauders? So clearly I have to.
Hashtag wrong faction.
Yeah, what the?
Maybe on your server.
So here's one thing I do want to get your opinion on, both of you. Troy, I know you intend to stick with this game, provided Amazon, delivers on plans.
Yeah, as long as it's like this isn't all we have for the next 3 years.
Right,
like,
right.
This is it. Yeah, I'll be playing this for a
while. This MMO is, how do I phrase it? It's a time sink.
Yes.
In
oh my God.
every sense of the word. This, I don't think New World facilitates in any aspect, whether it be dungeon running or crafting or raiding or PvP or wars. There isn't a single aspect of this game, in my estimation, that is going to appeal to a more casual gamer in that category. Everything in this game is about just taking exorbitant amounts of time and just doing it over and over, and whether that be leveling your logging or getting ready for war with another faction.
Yeah, some of the parts that I enjoy about the game, where sometimes I can log in and just do quests, and sometimes I just log in and I just want to go gather. I just want to go get iron. I want to level up my mining. I need to make steel to level some engineering. Those are the things that I like about the game, is going out, and that's going to take me a big chunk of the night just to do those things. For those who in their lives are at a point where they're coming home and they only have 30 minutes to an hour to play, and I really would, enjoy the game.
Yeah, you'll wait in the queue for that long, so play something else.
Yeah, right. So good luck with that. But let's just say that there wasn't a queue. You enjoy the games where you can just come and, like Guild Wars 2, you can jump into your dailies or something and accomplish something, in 30 minutes to an hour. You can go do some stuff, but you're not gonna see a big advancement in your time 30 minute to an hour chunks. You're going to sit down 2 or 3 hours to see those big advancements that you might want to see in 30 minutes to an hour. So it's not going to be for everybody. That is 100% a fact.
Yeah, it's definitely a return on investment game, Jason.
Mm-hmm. That definitely sounds like a consequence of its origins as a survival game, where you're supposed to chop wood for
absolutely.
an hour at a time or whatever.
Yeah, the beginning of its life is still absolutely present in its DNA right now.
Which makes me wonder then, at what point are we going to get the make everything a little quicker patch?
Well, and that was kind of where I wanted to go with this line of thinking, because we still don't have like a tremendous cash shop in the game, right? There are items there, cosmetics and stuff, and we all knew that was going to be there. But in previous betas, there were some not great feedback on things that were planned to be in the cash shop, and we basically got, okay, we're going to course correct and maybe rethink these. Some of those things won't be there, and Jason famously, their quote read something to the effect of, where we won't have those at launch.
Mm-hmm.
It had at launch at the end. But I honestly think not only does that feel scummy and pay to winny, I think if they did something like, gathering boosters or faction rep boosters or things like that, I think that would actually be a detriment to the way this game is built, Troy.
Well, it always is, but if it makes money, then we'll do it. So,
I guess. And that is something we're going to have to watch, because there has been feedback in the past that, Amazon was making some missteps.
You think?
What I'm more on this specific issue, what I'm also a little more cautious of, Troy, is while all of this is new and sexy and fun and I like certain elements, because of the heavy time investment to, accomplish anything or to rank something up to high degrees, am I still going to like doing that 3 weeks from now? Am I still going to like doing that 2 months from now? Am I still going to like doing it 6 months from now?
Yeah, I think right now, like you said, right now the grind is fine. Like it's if you do the grind, it can be satisfying if you're into that type of thing. I really enjoy going out and gathering and just kind of choosing what I'm going to do for the next couple of hours. So for me, it works out well. But do I want to do that in perpetuity forever and ever and ever? No. Eventually, at some point, I want to take these things that I'm earning and do something with them, right? Like that's the whole point. Like right now, the goal is to get there, but for the longevity of the game, there's got to be something to get to, and I think it needs to be more than just the same PvP that I'm doing now, the same dungeons that I'm doing now. There needs to be some extra step along the way that is the goal that I'm getting to, because that needs to be there for the grind upwards to be worth it.
Chat has been asking, so Jason, I will give you the opportunity. How is the game's inventory?
It's good. It slots things in different categories based on what their use is, like weapons or crafting of materials or fishing stuff. I like that. I
And
like that.
you're
It's a
okay
little-
with the encumbrance system?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
I honestly thought that was the part you were going to hate.
I will say that this is something I always talk about. It's like, when a new MMO comes out, it always shows you all the basic stuff, like, here's how to move, here's how to use powers or whatever. I didn't know about the encumbrance system in terms of like my character, like the light, medium, heavy stuff in terms of how it affected my dodge rolls, until someone pointed out to me in my chat while I was streaming, and I mouse over and it's like, oh, if I'm light, I can dodge farther or whatever. Oh, my stuff does more damage. I had no idea that existed.
Yeah,
The
they
game
don't do
doesn't
a
tell
good
you that at
job
any
of
point.
putting that out there.
It's like every MMO will tell you the most basic crap of an MMO, but then the stuff that is actually different about their game, they'll either won't tell you at all, or like when I was going to join a faction, I got this 5-page list of stuff about joining a faction in PvP, and I'm like, oh god, I have to read all this. It's like, I don't know.
I honestly thought, and I was surprised because you tweeted, oh, look, the bag is separated by type, like 10 minutes into the game. And I was like, yeah, I was pretty sure he was going to like that. So I immediately replied, yep, I thought you were going to like that, but how do you feel about the encumbrance system? And you're like, yeah, I don't care. I don't mind.
So at that point, I only knew about like the total weight in your bag, and a little meter shows
right,
on the bottom.
right.
I didn't
and then
know
you
about
move
the
slower and
equipment
stuff.
Yeah, I didn't know about that.
Well, and then when you get over encumbered, you actually just freaking crawl.
I suppose I haven't gotten to that point yet.
Fast travel,
I just
can't
came
use
back to town
abilities.
after.
Yeah, you can't fast travel. You can't use abilities, so you can just basic attacks. That's it.
Although the one thing I noticed was, like, I had a box of gear in my inventory that weighed like 5 pounds. I took it out and it was like a piece of armor that weighed 10 pounds. I'm like, how does that work?
Yeah. Let me. It's a
magic bag of holding.
They store them in a TARDIS. Is what it is. You're actually opening a TARDIS. Let's kind of close out week 1 opinions with this. Troy, where do you want to see the game go from here over the next X months as population stabilize, queues stabilize, that not set aside all that stuff. Content-wise, direction, because I think there's a huge area of opportunity in a lot of directions that they could get creative with some of the systems, but that also comes with a bit of risk. Do you want to see, World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy theme park style raids? Do you want it to just see the faction warfare expanded and maybe the introduction of like spies and traitors and things like that working within their factions? Where do you want to see this game go over the next X months?
I think one of the first things is the obvious that we already know they're going to do is the introduction of new weapons. That's going to keep some people busy going back and leveling those up and introducing new ways to play the game. That's going to be a great way to sort of refresh for some folks. Next, I think they need to introduce a mount system, and I know the core of the game is not really, that wasn't the idea at the time, but as an actual MMO now, we need some sort of mounts. We need to look towards ArenaNet and Guild Wars 2 and do something special with mounts besides just, have mount go fast. There needs to be something else to them, maybe PvP specific mounts, etc., etc. As far as in-game content, PvE wise, I would really like to see not full-blown World of Warcraft 3-hour raids. I want to see something more like strike missions, something where you go in, fight a boss or two. It takes a lot of coordination, it takes the right gear, it's hard mode like that, but it's not the next 8 hours of my life to kill trash mobs. That's not what I want, and I don't think this game really fits towards that. Even the dungeon that I've run so far, there are some trash mobs, but it's not like trash boss. It's like trash boss. It's not that bad. PvP wise, yeah, expand on absolutely. You've got a good base system right now. There's a lot of people engaging in that wouldn't always necessarily engage in a PvP system, like WW in Guild Wars 2, because you have to go to a separate instance to do that. This is out in the world where you can see it, you can feel it, it can impact you. There's a great ability to expand on that. Let PvEers get a little more involved in that. Make PvE a little more intricate part of the territory system. And PvPers, like stuff like spies and stuff, like that sounds pretty awesome. I think people are already doing that now. I'm pretty sure there are people in our faction chat letting the Covenant know the movements we're making in faction chat. So spies already exist. They're meta. They're just not a game mechanic.
Yeah, it's not a game mechanic yet, but they are absolutely there. So I kind of agree with a couple things being said in chat as my sum up. I really agree with Mad Martha. I'm happy for New World to kind of do its own thing. It's not my thing personally, but I appreciate that variety is much needed in MMOs. That's Mad Martha's sentiment. And I kind of agree to a point on that one. I don't know if long-term New World's going to be for me. Am I enjoying my time in it now? Yeah. Am I going to enjoy it when I'm level 60 and the weapons I really like using are maxed out and my crafting that I like doing is maxed out and I've done all the dungeons and stuff? I don't know. That has yet to be seen, but I recognize that, hey, when I get there, this might not be for me, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay playing with that now. I do hope that, and I said this on the other podcast earlier, that the sales projections for this, the revenue projections for this from Amazon itself, I hope they are not astronomically high to the point that they're just not obtainable. Because I do think this game does enough in some unique ways that it can be expanded and moved in certain directions. And I like the idea of Amazon as a developer in the developer space, not just a publisher with the upcoming Lost Ark and things like this. I do have a concern that because of its previous failures and the $500 million per year that they were spending to try and spin up Amazon games, that there may be more riding on New World than New World can possibly deliver, even if it was a smash hit. I don't know any numbers. It's just a concern of mine. I hope that's not the case. I do appreciate it being in the market, even if long-term I'm not playing it 6 months from now. That remains to be seen. Jason, where do you kind of fall after week one?
Well, just with week one impressions, really 2 days of impressions of the first 10 levels or so. It could use. I only can really opine on the
right.
new player experience, which is nice, but I feel like it's almost a little too. I don't know what the word. Too. I don't want to say handholdy or simple, but the one thing that really bothered me was how I knew going in I wanted the main life staff. And I'm like, okay, well, usually if I play an MMO and it's based on a class or some weapon, they'll give me that like the first 3 levels so I can try it out. No, it was like, here's a reward. It's a sword. Another quest reward. Here's another sword. Now, for your next quest, go craft a sword. It's like, could you at least let me try some of the other stuff? The only reason I got a life staff is I had to go and buy one off the auction house.
Yeah, and life staff is I want to be a healer primarily for the dungeons and stuff with Troy healing his big tanky ass. But it is actually really stupid hard to level with the life staff. You kind of have to keep it as a secondary weapon while you're out and about doing your stuff, and then before you run a dungeon, completely respec into if you're going to primarily heal, and then when you're done with the dungeon, you're going to go solo level again, completely respec again. So there's some annoyances that I do have that you'll probably be coming on soon.
And Sword and Board's kind of the same way too as a tank. Like I forget sometimes that I need to switch to it and catch a couple of levels because I just use the hammer to smash everything, and I'm like, oh yeah, I need this shield bash to be able to taunt stuff. Let's get a level.
Yeah. The other thing I hate is like the fluidity of it. Like if I'll be using one of my weapons and I press my switch button while I'm in the middle of a power, I want to be able to switch as soon as that power is done. I wish that was this thing that happened, but I don't. I wind up still using the same weapon.
Like it queued the ability.
Yeah. So
gotcha.
There are aspects of it that bug me at the early levels, definitely.
It's doing well. I'm surprised. Apparently Amazon is too, by the sheer numbers of people. How, I don't know. You've had the pre-order money for years. You knew,
Well, it's because people like you give me stuff like 2 days before it launches. There you go. That was
right,
it.
but you had the metrics, like you had more metrics than any other company has access to. You own Twitch, right? You could see all the hidden metrics.
As far as logging in, I don't feel like they were ready for the pre-orders that they knew they had.
Yeah, it feels vastly.
Like I think we still
when you
would
have to spin up double the servers, you mathed wrong.
Yeah.
You mathed wrong.
But I mean, where are they going to get those servers from? It's only Amazon. It's not like they own the servers.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Wait a minute. All right, 2 quick bits before we finish up with the weekly bombs here. We got all the viewers there, so if you're watching on MMOBomb or on YouTube.com, please leave your weekly bombs in the comments below so we can share them on next week's show. Activision Blizzard settled a lawsuit with the EEOC for $18 million. Now, this is separate from the California charges. This is separate from the SEC investigation. This was an Equal Employment Opportunity Commission investigation over the course of the last few years. They have settled it for $18 million. And you might go, "Oh, wow, they got slapped with an $18 million fine." I want to put this into perspective. We don't know how many current or previous employees qualify for any of this settlement money. We don't have those numbers. But it ain't one, right? It ain't 1 or 2 or 3. It's going to be a bigger number than that. $18 million doesn't go that far for years of discrimination, harassment, and abuse, as this suit alleges happened. And just to put this into further perspective for you, in total revenues last year, Blizzard made $8.09 billion. With a B. Activision Blizzard, $8.09 billion in 2020 in sheer revenue. Yeah, that's not profits. That's sheer revenue. But that means that they make approximately a little over $22 million based on last year's numbers. Last year, $22 million a day in revenue. This settlement is $18 million. Less than they will make in a day. Based on last year. To give you even a little more context, estimates have Call of Duty Warzone, just Call of Duty Warzone, pulling in about $5 million a day, a little over $5 million a day in revenue. I've seen the $18 million settlement described as a slap in the face, and I honestly think, Jason, maybe that's being a little too generous to slaps in the face.
Yeah, but on the bright side, I think the Overwatch League loses about $18 million a day, so, it kind of makes it up. But, yeah, it's not much in the grand scheme of things. Bobby Kotick makes like, what, 40, 50 million a year? So it's not even this is like a third of his salary. So.
Yeah, kind of insulting, Troy. Kind of insulting.
If I go right now and get a speeding ticket, that is a higher percentage of my income than this fine is.
It's not even a slap on the hand. Ninja Panda saying it's a slap on the hand. To be honest, it's not even a slap on the hand. This is an accounting error. This is a P&L accounting error for a company that big. Go ahead, Troy. Troy, did you want to say something?
Oh, no, sorry. I was muted because of the dogs.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Oh,
No
okay.
problem. I was like,
No, you're good. No, you're good. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is a rounding error. So yeah, I'm not happy with that settlement at all. But I want to end the show on a positive note. So on the flip side, you have previous Activision-owned companies like Bungie who are being proactive and have been behind the scenes, but now a little more publicly, on issues like accessibility to games, inclusivity, not just in games, but in their own boardroom and in representation there, and taking care of their employees in better ways, like removing mandatory arbitration. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. You might go look at Bungie's most recent post and say, great, you have a diverse board where underrepresented people show up more than they do in other companies. In fact, to 50% of the board. That's great. And you might have other underrepresented communities that are in key positions and in new categories. That's great. But you can also look at it and say, wow, they're doing stuff for the line level employees here too. The line level employees. The end of mandatory arbitration clauses in employee agreements, a review of potentially biased language in their own documents, and a third-party anonymous reporting tool. So not all of these companies are pure dog dick, Jason.
What's wrong with dog? If I'm a dog, I'm a little concerned. What's wrong with my dick? Anyway. But yeah, Bungie is definitely taking a lot of steps to try and make their workplace a little, trying to establish this sort of stuff before anything really horrible happens, which is kind of the way you're supposed to do, which is unlike what's been happening. And we talk about how whenever something new comes up with a company, we're like, well, haven't you been looking at what these other companies have been happening the last few years?
Yeah.
And this company, the Bungie, actually appears to have done that. They've been looking and saying, well, okay, let's make sure that we deal with this sort of thing. So
does it make you go, Troy, like, did you guys want out from Activision because you knew stuff? Like, did you guys want out from under there because you might have known, hey, this is not our culture and we kind of want out? Like, that, there's total speculation on my part, you know, but it does make you wonder those types of things.
The cynic in me thinks it was all they wanted out just so they could own themselves and quit having
100%.
Yeah.
But
I wish it was because the culture wasn't right that they wanted out, but I don't think that had anything to do with it.
Taking away the luster. Let's go do the weekly bombs. All right. I've got to give a dub bomb to WildStar.
Why?
I miss WildStar. I did a piece on MMOBomb today this week. You can find it. It's in the features right on the banner on the top of MMOBomb.com. WildStar went free to play 6 years ago, 2 days ago. 2 days ago was the 6-year anniversary of the free to play conversion. And I wrote a little sentimental piece, and I miss it. But I got to give an A-bomb to Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis, telling people, hey, you know what? Don't upgrade to Windows 11 if you actually like playing this game yet. We're still testing. Wait, what? What? Don't upgrade my operating system because you haven't finished testing a game on an operating system that you as the developer have had access to for quite some time now. Yeah. That's an A-bomb. That's a huge A-bomb.
You've probably had access to that longer than we've known it was going to be a
thing. Go ahead, Jason.
Well, remember last week I was going to do something on my phone to show you my bomb, but then my brother made me mad, so I A-bombed him instead. But I'm giving a dub bomb now to a podcast I listen to all the time when I'm doing my stretches for my arm and so forth.
The Relic Grind. That's so kind of you.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's actually called The Ancients, and it's about ancient history and so forth. So I've been going through, and I've got through about probably about 75% of its podcasts already, and I just like reading about history stuff.
Oh, are we taking sponsorship deals during the bombs now?
Oh, God. Yeah, this is how they're getting boosted.
While you are on iTunes and Spotify, please give a little boost and a follow to the Always Online podcast. That's what helps it get seen across that platform. Go ahead, Troy.
This week, the Noob Fridge was brought to you by Crocs.
Brought to you by by applesauce in a squishy pack.
Oh, my God, you saw that?
Yeah, I did.
I do enjoy applesauce in a squishy pack. Dub on to New World. I love you, New World. Thank you for everything you've done so far. I'm enjoying my time. It's not for everybody, but it is for me, and it's fantastic.
So we've guaranteed now 6 months from now, Troy's going to have an A-bomb for New World.
That's true. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
A-bomb, no Rhino mount. 1 out of 10 would not play again.
Right? Oh, my God. Give me a Rhino.
23.99 says A-bomb to the 49ers defense. I don't care if it's Rodgers. You don't lose a game with 37 seconds left and having them start on their own 25. Yeah. I saw that game and I was like, you gave Aaron Rodgers 37 seconds with no timeouts. Shit, you gave him too much time.
Too much time.
You gave him too much time. Japan's Freak, dub bomb to Jason, ending the, I think you mean Valheim, not Valheim. So Wilhelm Scream. Dub-bomb to Jason ending the Valheim first look with MMOBomb, a free-to-play site. Yeah, he did.
No, that was the second time I recorded that
Yeah, he did.
that second part with the housing and crafting, and the first time I got it right. The second time I did not.
Mad Martha, Dub-bomb for highlighted messages and keeping Jason happy.
Yes.
Old Glory,
Doing
I
he
can't
can't
think
keep
of
me
any
happy.
bomb besides New World's Q, which blocked me playing the game for 2 days. Opie on YouTube says, I've been playing Final Fantasy 14 for years, but really never been 100% into the game, as all the cool melee classes are tanks. Now we're getting the Reaper. I'm 100% in. This class could make Final Fantasy 14 my main MMORPG. I hope it does. I hope it does. It does look pretty sweet. Go ahead, Jason.
Guardian Vale says, the bomb to Chocobo GP, so dumb, I love it.
I love Chocobo Racing.
I
back on
watched the
PlayStation
trailer for
1.
that, and I thought, it was like, oh, that looks kind of fun.
Go ahead, Troy.
Ninja Pandas, I normally do this live, but since I only got back home today, Sunday the 26th, I'll do it now while it's still fresh. So I'm giving Dub-bomb to the 2 days, 2 nights fishing with my friend and caught 6 perch, 4 carp, and an eel. And a massive A-bomb to a burnt tongue, thanks to a cup of tea and the sunburn on my hands, which is currently stinging while typing this out. Also, I'm counting this as a highlighted message, even though it's a comment section.
Highlighting
Did you pay your
comments
10
on
points for it,
YouTube.
though? Your 100 points?
Taylor Townsend gives perhaps the best YouTube comment ever in just saying, FFTCG online. Yeah, I would love it. I would love it. Love you, Taylor. That's an awesome comment. I don't know Taylor personally, but I feel like we're besties. Go ahead, Jason.
Silverisk says, sorry for the mounted on the RCR video. I got excited.
Oh, it's
You know-
fine. We're just giving you crap. That's all.
When I get excited, I mount things too. Yeah.
Troy, go ahead.
I can't do this show anymore. Misfit Rain, A-bomb to Cardano Summit. Only because I got my link to join the summit on Monday morning. Just in case you don't know what I'm talking about, the summit was Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, that's a hell of a time to get the link. An absolute hell of a time. Mad Martha says, DeBomb for Jason playing Valheim. I hope to see more in the near future. Also, if he wants me to come visit his world sometime, I'm available.
Can you bring your house?
RayZ0101 says, on last week's episode says, Q with little sleep takes no prisoners. I like it. I like it. Yeah, Q didn't take prisoners. She went on a little rant at one point where I was like, I might not be able to rate this as abbreviated adult language. I might have to bump it up a step. Go ahead, Jason.
Box says, giving an A-bomb to YouTube Google for not having some kind of guidelines or filter for their ads on videos. Normally, it wouldn't be an issue for me because I watch most videos with ad block on, but my nephew was going through the YouTube Kids app earlier and got a very adult-oriented fake ad for some crappy mobile game. Let me guess, Raid Shadow Legends? He was really confused by it and started asking me questions, which I just fell back to the "you'll find out when you're older, champ" response. Also, Yu-Gi-Oh! As a card game wasn't bad early on. I say once I got into the racing crap in later series, it got really dumb. Although Dungeon Dice Monsters is a superior game in my honest opinion. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is bad all the time. Sorry.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Was bad forever. Go ahead, Troy.
Amber Lane Arcadia, thanks for bringing Dreadnoughts to my attention. Just listen to some of their music, really enjoying it.
Some of the music is awesome. That's going to do it for our show. Today, make sure you leave your comments on all of our topics, including your reviews of New World in week 1 in the comments below with your weekly bombs. Dub-bomb for something good, A-bomb for something bad. We'll bring all of those comments to next week's show. As always, it'll be live, twitch.tv/MMOBomb at 1 p.m. Eastern next Friday. Until then, Troy, where can everybody find you?
I'm on Twitter. It's surprise, Noob Fridge right here every Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern time. I stream twitch.tv/MMOBomb.
And the New World first look will be up shortly. Probably early next week, like Monday, Tuesday, probably something like that.
Yeah, like I'm like hardcore working on it this afternoon.
He wants to get that out as fast as possible to all of you that might be on the fence a little bit. But you can go watch the Splitgate one, even though he doesn't use a Splitgate. Way to go.
Whatever.
Way to go. Did you go comment to that person? Because they were nice about it. Did you go say
No,
hi?
crap, I forgot. I will today.
Yeah, do it after the
show.
show.
I got intoxicated last night, okay? Leave me alone.
Jason, where can we find you?
On Twitter, Winter Informal, streaming at twitch.tv/JasonWinter.
I'm Mike Byrne. You can follow me personally at magicman1, but more importantly, follow at MMOBomb on Twitter, and we'll tweet at you every time we go live with a podcast, streamer, news, giveaways, interviews, first look videos, and more. Stay safe. We'll see you on the servers. Later.